Welcome back to The Blend. My name is Steve Benz. We are broadcasting live from Studio B in downtown Chicago. Today's guest, someone that was on the show 6 years ago. His podcast is still in the top 10 of all of my interviews. He is on tour right now with the Retro Futura Tour. Let's welcome Limahl back to the show. Limahl, how the heck are you?
I'm 6 years older.
But you look the same, my friend. You still look like from the 1980s. How do you do what it is that you do?
I like Meryl Streep in the movie, and Death Becomes Her. I found a magic potion. I'm just copywriting it, and I'm going to launch it onto the mass public.
That is too funny. Now, you guys just hit Atlanta on tour. Talk about a star-studded group of performers on this. You've got Martin Fry from ABC, Belinda Carlisle. You've got Modern English, Annabella, Bow Wow Wow, Tony Lewis from Outfield. How do you even take the stage without being intimidated with talent like that?
I've worked with ABC many times. Belinda Carlisle I toured with in 2002 in the UK. So, and I've met some pretty big people in my time, you know. And I could name drop if you like.
Go ahead. Drop it all. We need to hear it.
Well, I met Princess Diana.
Whoa. Wow.
So that's a good one.
That's a good one.
I met Tina Turner backstage on the TV show in Germany.
Oh, she is wonderful.
And I was on the same record company, EMI Records, as Queen. And so at the height of our success, one of the corporates at the company invited me to the Queen concert at Wembley Stadium, and then to the after show party, and I was taken over to meet Freddie, and that was a special moment, of course.
Freddie Mercury, one of my favorite singers of all time. Queen, one of the greatest bands ever, rock bands.
Oh God, and what, you know, some of the lyrics on the early stuff too, especially. What's the one? She drinks a Moe of Shannon. I'm a pretty cabinet. I should stop right now before I ruin the illusion. But
Limahl, yeah. I may have to start that you should be the lead singer of Queen, not Adam Lambert.
But I don't have that range. I think, you know, they're doing top C quite a lot, and really my range is a little bit lower, so yeah, it'd be a tough one.
You could do it.
Freddie was a tenor. People don't realize that because he was singing rock, but he had a beautiful tenor voice.
And he didn't hit all the high notes. It was the drummer that hit all the high notes, and nobody knows that. Right? So I'm right there. But seeing Queen, I never got a chance to see Queen live. That would have been absolutely surreal. I didn't get a chance to. Actually, I should say you have not played live in America until you got to Atlanta. Am I right?
I have never played because 8 months after our success, before we even started the second album, the band fired me in a phone call. Everybody knows that.
Right.
With Kajagoogoo, I never got to tour America. So we came over and I did American Bandstand with Dick Clark, and I've done MTV, VH1, I've done Entertainment Tonight, all of that stuff. But performing live, it never happened. And here I am, thank God I stayed alive, 36 years later, and I'm doing my first live shows. And the wonderful thing is that now I'm like an antique. I've gained more value with age, you know. like a 1970s vase is now got like this retro value.
That is too funny. Could you imagine getting fired now from a band through a text? That would be worse.
At my age, that could give me a heart attack.
Right. You see it up on your Twitter feed. Oh, by the way. So how did the band actually form? Let's talk about that. We're going to talk about some of the music that you have and your music from 2012. I love 1983. I love the Christmas song. I love playing both of those, but we'll talk of that in a second. How did Kajagoogoo get together originally?
I was looking for a band, and they were looking for a singer. And the kind of musician's Bible at the time was a weekly music newspaper in the UK called Melody Maker, which doesn't exist anymore. And quite a few bands met through Melody Maker, I understand. One I know of is Erasure.
Great band.
And Vince Clarke just put this very kind of low-key ad in there, synthesizer player looking for singer. He didn't actually, say who he was. And then Andy Bell turned up, and the rest is history. So I was looking for a band. I spent a weekend auditioning individual musicians. I was going to form my own band because I'd been in 3 other bands and they didn't work out. And I just thought, you know what? I'm going to form my own band. So I spent a weekend auditioning drummers and guitarists and so on in London. And really, when I say audition, it's just a case of you just sit down and see if you click. You know, is there a mutual energy? Maybe you talk about music you like, what inspires you, stuff like that. And then I didn't really find the people I was looking for on that first weekend. But I didn't give up. I thought I'll just do another ad and some more auditions, and we'll see how we go. But in the meantime, I got a call from the bass player of Kajagoogoo, who were then an unknown 4-piece outfit called Art Nouveau, and Nick said to me, he said, "Hi, we are already a band, and I know you're looking for individual musicians, but we're already a band, and we're looking for a singer. And we had an ad in 2 weeks ago, but he said you haven't seen it, and we didn't find anyone." He goes, and he's very casual. He goes, "Do you want to come up anyway and just see how it goes?" So I said, sure. And I took the train up to Leighton Buzzard, which is 40 miles north of London. And it was sort of mid-afternoon. I turned up in this amazing outfit. I had adamant-esque oil paint on my face. I get on the train in the middle of the afternoon, scaring all the old ladies. And I've got makeup on, and I'm very I swear to God, I've got pictures. I should get it on Twitter and get it on the social media. Some of that stuff is on my website, but when I look back, I'm kind of proud of it, really, because it was brave.
It was.
But when you're young, you are braver. You're out there, you want a shock.
Well, I think you need to do that when you show up in Chicago next week. Full paint on your face, all of it.
Because you're all going to go, "Oh my God, how does he look so young?" And his voice sounds great. No, but seriously. So I turned up in Leighton Buzzard. I got off the train, and we went down to the greeting card factory where the drummer worked, and the manager of the factory had said we could rehearse there, and it was after 5:30, so all the workers have gone home, and we're on the factory floor with the drum kit and the amps, and we run a few songs. And the thing that made the difference for me was, there was something there. There was an energy, but the keyboard player had one synthesizer, and it sounded modern. And to me, and that's kind of what I was wanted, that was what I was looking for.
Right.
And then later, of course, more synthesizers came, and that changed everything. I think once we got the new synthesizers, and then I met Nick Rhodes from Duran Duran.
Right.
Those demos that I gave him a copy of our demos. Those demos had the new synthesizers on, and then we sounded like all the stuff that was around: Soft Cell, Human League, Depeche Mode, and we sounded contemporary, and we certainly looked it. So at that point, I think all the jigsaw pieces of the puzzle were coming together. It was very exciting.
I don't think most Americans know that you had a tie to Nick Rhodes with that first single.
How lucky was that?
Yeah.
I was a waiter at the Embassy Club in Bond Street. He came in. There was a lot of people in that place. It was the place to hang out.
Sure.
You know how sometimes people talk about the legendary nightclub in New York.
Right.
What was the famous one in New York in the
54,
70s?
Studio 54.
the famous disco nightclub
Yeah.
in the 70s in New York. What was that called?
That was Studio 54. Everyone was hanging out at 54. So.
Yeah, that one.
Yep.
Exactly. So I was working at the Embassy Club in Bond Street in London. That was the equivalent. And I'd see like Gary Newman at the bar.
Wow.
Lemmy from Motorhead was there. Elton John's manager was often in there. There was a party for Rolls Royce because they just had a hit record with Car Wash. I was serving drinks to Gwen Dickey, the singer. And then one night, midweek, kind of low-key night, I serve a drink to Nick Rhodes from Duran Duran, and we get talking, and I tell him all about the band and blah, 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 and I'm really enthusiastic. And in a later interview, he said he was charmed by my enthusiasm, whatever that means. And but the brilliant thing was, you know, they just had the first big album, and he was already thinking about producing. He was obviously trying to, you know, he just wanted to be involved in creating music across the board, you know, whether it was with Duran or whatever. So I was in the right place at the right time. I sent him a cassette, and he called like a week later and nearly collapsed on the floor when he said, "Hi, Limahl, it's Nick. I've got your cassette. I really like it. I'm going to take it into EMI Records and tell them I want to produce it."
You should call
I put the phone down. I called the band because I was back in London at that point, and they were still living in Leighton Buzzard. I was going, "Guys, you know, you're not going to believe who just phoned. This is what he said."
Here's everybody listening going,
it was very exciting. And I was 22 years old, you know.
Let's face it. The 22-year-olds that are listening right now, one, don't know what a cassette is, and wondering why didn't you just text each other?
It is scary, isn't it?
Right? It is.
The whole generation doesn't know about life before the internet or mobile phones, but we do.
That's right. Where you had to stand in one place on the telephone if you could even afford a telephone line back then.
I remember I used to ring home. I thought that was really great technology. To hear messages on my answering machine at home, I'd have to go to a payphone, and then just after the machine picks up, you put in a code, a special code that the answering machine recognizes, and then it tells you if you have any messages, and you listen to them back.
That was the greatest.
That seemed like progress at the time.
That's right, because we had to walk around with a little beeper, and I had to carry a lot of quarters and dimes just to call my answering machine.
Exactly. Yeah. Wow.
Right. Those were the days back in when I was back in Los Angeles and doing that because I didn't want to drive the hour back to where I lived. So.
Yeah.
So my entire car was full of change. Every time, you know, I bought something, I'd throw the change in there.
Yeah. Oh,
people don't get that. Now we're all digital debit cards and credit cards. Everything's that way. It's kind of scary.
Well, sorry, I just put a small piece of chocolate in my mouth.
Well, I hope you're going to share when you get here, okay? So your first night in Atlanta, what did you think? How was the crowd?
It was a really unique experience because, first of all, it was outdoors, and the temperature here is hot. It was like 94 in the day. It dropped to like 86. And an amphitheater, there's no wind because the whole thing goes down. The seats go down. The stage is at the bottom. So, taking the chocolate out. Oh, that's good.
Well, I'm glad you're very comfortable. So,
licking my fingers. But the warm air is great for the voice, and so it was great for the voice. My voice doing all the things I wanted to do, and from that perspective, and of course, you know, if you do like a workout at the gym or a class at the gym, you have to warm up first.
True.
So in terms of moving around the stage, everything's really warm. So I was like a 21-year-old on that stage last night, and my voice was doing everything I wanted to do. So as the kids say today, last night in Atlanta, I smashed it.
There you go.
It felt great, and I've had 3 rehearsals with the band because I've been here for like 5 days, and there's always that anticipation, first gig of a tour in a new country, never performed here in 35 years, but I've been performing for 20 years and live now, and I don't want to sound complacent, but I've had, the practice has paid off. I know how to interact with an audience. I think that's really important.
Mm-hmm.
And I know what songs work, and you do stuff and hopefully you get a little better at it. So that was great. I'm very excited about doing the rest of the tour, and I really hope this is the start of maybe a second wave of work in America, because it's great to come here. You travel Europe, there's a language barrier, and there's lots of languages, and that's great. But if I go to Australia or Canada or America, we're all speaking English, and it just makes life a lot easier for communication.
And I know America's been waiting for you. I mean, you had 2 smash singles. Everybody knows the songs. We all tried to have your hair way back then, and some that don't have the hair anymore. I still have my long hair, and so, but it looks good. I can't wait till you get here. Here's Chicago. You're going to be here next Tuesday, so I'll be at the show. So I'm really excited. It's going to be an indoor venue. It's an old building. It's got great acoustics. So if you can bring it, the crowd will go crazy.
I love Chicago. I was there for like 10 days 10 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
I did a private gig for the Polish community on New Year's Eve.
Awesome.
And there was you wouldn't have known about it because it was private. It was what we call a private show, because in Poland, Never Ending Story in Europe is just this anthem. It's huge. It was #1 everywhere for weeks.
It was, yeah.
In America, it only got to 16 on Billboard. I was a bit disappointed about that, but and I don't know the reason why. But in Poland, Never Ending Story, huge. Too Shy, huge. And so I got this invite to do a private gig on New Year's Eve for the Polish community in Chicago, and then I stayed for a holiday. Now, it was January. It was really weird. Like 2 days into the trip, I came out of the hotel and it was like, I don't know, 6 feet of snow. It was so cute watching. Every building had these little machines that come out. It was like Thunderbirds.
That's right.
There were these little machines everywhere just hoovering the snow up. And even though it was freezing, I had the best time. I loved Chicago. I went to the Improv, and I went to restaurants and that amazing museum.
Mm-hmm.
So it's going to be nice to go back to Chicago in the summer, and I think I'm going to be there for 3 days. So I'm really looking forward to it.
That's great. You and I can get together, and then you can rewrite your song "Chicago for Christmas" versus "London for Christmas."
You just invited me to dinner, and you're paying for it, and that's on air. So they're my witness.
There we go.
Thanks. That's really kind.
I have a corporate card. We'll get you some hot dogs from Chicago. No, I would do that. Come on.
Oh, you're too kind.
Now, you have not, I don't think you've put out a full CD since 92, mid-90s. Was that the last time you put out a CD? Oh, that's okay, because you're going to be playing it. But the 1983 in London to
I'm
Christmas
lazy. I'm a bit lazy.
Yeah, but
I know. I should put out some new music. And maybe I will. I'm thinking about it for next year.
Yeah, but you don't have to put out a full CD anymore. You just have to put out a single. That's all you have to do.
I know, and I've got some great stuff. I did this little thing on Facebook.
Mm-hmm.
Can I just give you the website thing?
Yep, tell us all of it.
It's Limahl_official at Facebook. I did this little thing the other day outside of the hotel, and I said, "Hey guys," the iPhone video selfie thing. "Hey guys, I've arrived in America, and it's really great, and look how hot it is, and da da da." And then I just started singing. I've got my little Bluetooth speaker. I just felt like singing, So I go out with my speaker, and I'm doing like a little jazz number to this iPhone cam, and you cannot believe how many hits it's had. It's just like thousands,
right?
And people are like, please do some more recordings, and maybe do this,
Mm-hmm.
Last night in Atlanta, a woman mentioned it to me. she said, I'd love to hear you do some of that stuff. I was doing the Billie Holiday song, God Bless the Child. So go and have a listen to it. And maybe I should do some... No, not maybe. I should do some new stuff.
Why not?
Recordings.
Why not?
Yeah.
You and I could both do a Facebook Live.
I should be grateful. My voice is still working. It's working well. I'm grateful for that.
Yeah, why not? Go out there and sing some songs. Are there songs out there that you wish you wrote? That you sit back, you listen to it. We talked about Queen. That you just hear it and you go, "Oh my God, I wish I wrote that song."
There are like 1,000 songs I wish I'd written.
Yeah.
I mean, come on.
Sure. But what comes to mind? Like, what just kind of hits you in the head every time you hear it?
Fiction Factory. What's that song called? He says, da 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 da. I can't remember what it's called.
Yep.
What's that one hit by Fiction Factory?
Yeah, I can't. I'm drawing a blank.
Yeah. Oh, okay. No, I think it was a hit in America. You'd know it. Stepping Out, Joe Jackson.
Oh, I love Joe Jackson. That was one of the greatest songs.
Oh, God, I love that song. I know the list is just too long.
Okay.
Steve, my Spotify playlist is huge, and it goes from like one extreme to the other. And then sometimes, because it plays random, and you go like, oh, it's only on for a while. I really like that. I mean, I love, all musicians love the Donald Fagen album, Nightfly.
There we go.
Yep. I love top 5 songs. Okay, let's do top 5 songs. Top 10. In the top 10 would be, for me, is it called Morning, Al Jarreau?
Yeah, I think it's just called Morning. Or
Yeah.
Mornings. Yeah.
Morning, Mr. Sunshine Man.
Yeah.
Da, 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 da. Ba, 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 ba.
Boy, did he have a voice.
Lovely song.
Man, did he have a voice.
Just makes me feel good. Candy Staton, Young Hearts Run Free.
Oh, good one.
And was this song a hit in America? It just gives me goosebumps when I hear it. Ms. Grace by The Times in the late 70s.
Oh, I would say no.
Okay,
Nope.
That was huge in England. That was like top 5 hit. Miss Grace.
Wow.
Ooh, Miss Grace. Satin and perfume and lace. The minute I saw your face, I knew that I loved you. Great song.
See,
Kind of old school soul driftersy thing.
see, I thought you could sing Robert Palmer stuff.
Yeah. He did some great stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm more old school than that. I think I'm listening to what I'm quoting, mainly 70s stuff, because that
70s,
was my, that was the first record you buy, the ones that kind of stay with you. Everybody knows that.
Very true.
So yeah, I quote a lot of like mid to late 70s stuff. And I've got some stuff from the 60s and 50s, of course.
Absolutely.
And I love jazz. Often in the dressing room before a show, I'm playing jazz just to kind of like feed my soul or something.
It's a good way to start, though. And
I shared a dressing room with Tony from The Outfield.
Oh, okay. Tony Lewis, yeah.
And his wife, Carol.
Mm-hmm.
We shared a dressing room, and it was nice. We had some banter and stuff last night. And I had my Bluetooth speaker on, and I said, Tony, do you mind? Is it okay if I just put a little something on? And he goes, no, that's fine. He goes, what do you have in mind? And I said, I was going to put on a little bit of jazz. And he went, ugh. I thought, you don't like jazz? And he's like pulling a face. Anyway, I sort of eased him in with Nat King Cole. He goes, oh, I like Nat King Cole.
Right.
And I think it was Unforgettable. That's what you are. And he's nice, he's feeding the soul music. But it was fun watching Tony go, jazz? Or I don't know.
I probably would have done the same thing, because you just kind of think of, the jazz way out there. Just like if someone here in Chicago said, I'm going to turn on, I'm going to go see blues. And that may not be what they're used to hearing. So
Yeah, yeah.
Well, Limahl, it is great to have you back on the Blend. Next week, you're going to be here on the Retro Futura Tour. I'm looking forward to it. I'm going to be backstage, so maybe we'll do a little Facebook Live with you.
We will. Let's do it.
That and I owe you dinner now. Everybody's heard that.
Yeah.
So we have proof of that.
Take me to the top restaurant in Chicago.
There we go. Well, right. We can stand outside all you want. No, I'm just kidding. Now, we'll do something for sure.
Like that pause there, the silence. You're going to tell me the top restaurant. Pause. Silence.
Well, always a pleasure to have you on. You are welcome back on the show anytime. We need to have you on more often. You're a lot of fun.
Well, thank you. It's been a pleasure. And I'll see you next week.
Fantastic. Thanks, Limahl. Everybody tune in next week. He will be here. Yeah, well, he'll be here, there, and he'll be just about everywhere. He is on the Retro Futura Tour. Their stop is here in Chicago next Tuesday night. You cannot miss that. Follow Limahl on Twitter and on Facebook, and I think he's got Instagram as well. Go to Limahl_official.com for more information. Let's play some of his latest music from 2012. It is Limahl. You're listening to The Blend.